makes life very, very difficult.
But you're right, Jim. But you've just said he's very effective at it. And the worst thing we can do is ignore it and not talk about it. And actually, if we're prepared to sit down and say, hold on a minute, there's two opposing arguments here. Let's put it to Scripture. Let's put it to God and find out which is God and which isn't. Are you with me? And that's not easy. And the point is, none of it's easy. But until we start to understand and realise and acknowledge that the Scripture's talking about deception so many times, because it happens. And we are warned so much that he will come and deceive us. So we've got to search our God. Now, Kate, what did you add a bit about the whisperings? Not on here, I know, but it just comes to mind.
Well, that was really tied into the other bit, which is about him going with his legions and the different sort of levels of, that was demons really, in terms of, whispering in your ear. Not every case is a case of being a manifestation of being taken over of your body, because I think there's the deception of being whispered in your ear and being tempted off the pathway, and coming back on. So listening to the voice of God against listening to something that is not of God. And I think and I think it's always easier, isn't it, when it's something really black and white, really against 10 Commandments. That's easy. It's not easy when there's two seemingly, when it's of good works, shall we say, two things of good works, or seemingly good works, but it's of light. That's when it becomes difficult. And discerning the will of God in a process, like Paul said, when you've got two people in two churches or just in two relationships, and both things seem perfectly reasonable, trying to discern and listen to the will of God. When you've got, is this my will? It's not even a bad thing, because we think when something's bad, okay, we know that's sinful, that's difficult. And I think to pick up, Jim, on what you were saying, was why don't we talk about it from the pulpit? Why don't we, expanding? I agree with you, the devil, sin, hell, evil, and when we go to sin. And why don't we? Because we all fall short of the glory of God. And when we start talking about it and preaching it, we start thinking about our own moral standards and where we've fallen short. So actually we don't really want to start talking about it because we feel there's a light on our own lives. So as a preacher, I like to think sit with somewhere where I feel comfortable. I don't feel comfortable about talking about this. I'm doing it because I think it's important, having had an experience where I want people to understand how to pray into a situation. But if I hadn't have had that, I wouldn't be touching this with a barge pole, if I'm honest. I'd go down to there, journaling. I feel safe in journaling, if I'm honest. But I have had this experience, and I think it's important that people protect themselves with prayer and understand what they're praying against. So I think I never pray against sin, because I've sinned. So why do I think I can preach on sin to somebody else when I've sinned? I don't. So we do, unless we're very like him, he'll talk about anything. But I don't, because I'm aware of my own frailties and my own vulnerability. So I like to put a little, I walk around with a little barrier around me, which is my safe barrier. So I think that's probably why people keep in a comfort zone. And I think when we're talking about deception, we need to be very careful when we're listening, what voice we're listening to. Is that our ego? Is it our will? Is it God's will? And how we discern that is about reason, experience, prayer, and talking to one another, and listening to one another, and listening to God.
Go on, Mum, you've got something to say.
Yeah, it's just that I was looking, we must remember